Siomra Beag.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Siomra Beag. Welcome back to the tiny room. Welcome back to Swiftly Moving Along, Ireland's leading Taylor Swift fan cast. I'm the Michael, formerly of Michael and Benjamin's podcast, but now of Moving Swiftly Along. And I am joined by the man who hopes that when he grows up, Taylor Swift will write a mean song about his failed romance. It's Benjamin.
I'd love that. I'd love to be the inspiration behind one of Taylor Swift's moany, petty revenge songs.
Ben, that's not the attitude we have here on Moving Swiftly Along, the Taylor Swift fancast.
As I told you before, Michael,
yeah,
this is entirely your baby, and I will have nothing to do with it.
I do not have a baby with Taylor Swift. If she comes after me for the alimony, she will be sorely disappointed, Benjamin.
Yeah, not only because you don't have the backing for that kind of level of child, but also because, well, it's not yours, is it?
Hey, hold on a minute. Level of child?
You have levels of children. That child is going to have a very privileged existence. He'll have a terrible mother. And there'll probably be an album called Why Do You Do This To Me?
Oh, bloody hell. Ben, moving swiftly along. Let's have the theme music there.
Theme music for the podcast. We don't actually have any theme music.
You nearly lost it. You lost your voice there a little bit.
Yeah, I got a catch.
Benjamin, we are of course joking. It's not a Taylor Swift fancast called Moving Swiftly Along.
Thank Christ.
It's a bloody Michael and Benjamin's podcast about popular culture, movies, TVs and comic books.
Because that's what we do. That's what we do here at the Michael and Benjamin's podcast, Michael.
A Benjamin?
Yes.
What are we bloody talking about? Remember that storm in the teacup?
The many storms in teacups.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mean one of the many storms in teacups that you accurately predicted wouldn't actually be a storm in a teacup and was in fact just a cup of tea?
It was all just a negotiation tactic, Ben.
Yeah, and you were right. We should probably clear up and point out that we're talking about the realignment of the entertainment stars that are Marvel and Sony.
That's a good way of putting it.
They're back on board, guys. They're back on board.
Everything's fine now.
They're just the two of them. Dun, dun.
I don't
they
think it is
can
just the
make
two.
it if they
Oh,
try. Just the two of them. Just Sony and Marvel Entertainment.
Oh, not great. Ben, we have... Yeah, look, Spider-Man's back. Was he ever gone? Does it matter?
No, it was all marketing.
It was all marketing, wasn't it? It's
you
all...
accurately predicted that a couple of weeks ago, Michael.
What did I say?
You said that it was all going to blow over
Yeah.
and that this wouldn't actually happen
Yeah.
because there's piles of money to be made
Piles
in
of
Spider-Man,
money.
and both of them agree to it. There have been several GIFs created on Reddit, which is a popular online social networking site for people who don't like other people.
Yeah, or Michael and Benjamin's podcast.
Or Michael and Benjamin's podcast, depending on what we post. And many GIFs have been made making fun of this, where it's just piles of money that have sorted all this out.
That's all the problems.
That's all
out.
it ever was. It wasn't for the fans. Some people are like, oh, they've set aside their differences for fans.
No, there's the money, the piles of money.
Piles of money have mended the river. Bridge the river? I've mixed two metaphors there.
I don't
Mended
know.
the bridge?
Mended the bridge?
Mended the bridge.
I don't know if you mended a river necessarily. That's my phone broken.
That's
Um,
podcasting
that's
gold.
Podcasting gold, Ben. Look, listen, yeah, it was always going to inevitably blow over. There's some cool little wrinkles. I didn't know, for example, that should Sony be bought out, part of the contract with Marvel is that they will regain the rights to Spider-Man.
That means that Disney is inevitably going to buy...
Well, if
Sony
Disney buys Sony, they get the rights anyway. But if, say, Apple bought Sony, which they were considering apparently, the Spider-Man rights wouldn't be part of the deal.
Oh, that's good.
Is it?
Should we buy Sony then and just make sure that it stays with Marvel?
We could have swooped in if I hadn't wasted all that money on the Taylor Swift child support alimony.
But look, that was her fault. She doing anything to stay with you, Mick. It was really awkward.
My cat's called Taylor Swift.
It is, yeah. We're
Makes
not
me-
talking about your cat.
No, not my cat. She's no money at all. She's the lost
That's
leader.
what you think. Taylor's running a side hustle like crazy.
Yeah, but that's just cat money. That's useless in the
Yeah, it's
human
fairly
world.
useless.
Anyway, Ben, look, I want to have a little bit of a moan about Spider-Man.
Go on, off you go.
As you know, Ben, or you don't, because you don't care about me.
That's not true, Michael. I would just like to... Hold on.
Yeah, go on.
Hang on.
You refute that point there.
That's categorically untrue, Michael. I care very much about you.
Oh, thanks, Ben.
You're a very important part of my life.
Oh, we hold hands a little bit?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that's lovely.
I don't know if the listeners could hear that. There was a mending of the river there between Michael and
we mended that river. Ben, Spider-Man. I've been reading The Amazing Spider-Man. You all right? Is that a bit too real for you?
Ridiculous. Go on.
What was it?
You've been reading The Amazing Spider-Man
by some writer, I've forgotten who. Nick Spencer?
Is it Ryan Otley?
Ryan Otley is the
He's
artist.
the artiste.
And
Nick
then
Spencer.
I've been lured in by I've fallen for the odd trap of comics, been lured in by the superstar artist, and he does about half the issues, and
They cop it out with somebody else.
Well,
there's an
it's
inconsistency, and it's
Humberto Ramos, who's a fairly famous Spider-Man artist. Anyway, none of that's relevant to what I'm saying. The latest issue, Ben, is a tie-in with the Marvel event of the summer. Not Maximum Carnage, Absolute Carnage. Is that what it's called?
Absolute Carnage. Yes, I've been reading it a little here and there. I have.
Here's the thing: the only Spider-Man comic I read is Amazing Spider-Man. Is that what it's called? Incredible Spider-Man.
No, I think it's the Amazing Spider-Man.
The one anyway. The Ryan Otley one.
It's not here.
And Benjamin.
Yeah.
The last episode, the last issue was a tie-in with the Absolute Carnage story.
Which it should be.
Should it?
No.
Because, Ben,
Tie-ins
it
are
was
awful.
the very worst of comics.
Is this the one where they go to the prison together? Him and Venom go and have a little prison break.
No, it's Spider-Man. I think it's Spider-Man
Yes.
fighting Carnage.
Yes.
To protect two children who
Yes.
I've never heard of.
It's Harry Osborn's son
Yeah.
and Eddie Brock's son, who doesn't realise he's Eddie Brock's son.
Yeah.
He thinks he's Eddie Brock's brother.
Spider-Man is fighting Carnage.
Yes.
To protect those two kids.
Yes.
In the meantime, I think there's a series of flashbacks to the relationship between Flash Thompson's Peter Parker, Eddie Osborn.
Eddie Brock.
No,
Harry Osborn.
Harry Osborn
Junior.
Norman
Osborn. Harry Osborn.
Very
Very
anyway,
confusing.
right? So there's a series of flashbacks. Then there's also the new Spider-Man villain, Kindred, who seems to be made of centipedes.
Has he popped up again?
He's in it.
What's he doing?
He's talking through Norman Osborn, who's in a sale asylum.
Yeah.
Telling him, like, I would have got you, but I'm going to get you, or something, some such. You
Some
tortured
such
me, so I'll
nonsense.
get you. I'll get my revenge on you, Norman. And then Spider-Man is telling Carnage, you're Norman Osborn, stop your messing. And he's, I'm not, I'm Cletus Cassidy, you son of a bitch.
Yes.
And
son
then
of a bitch.
the mask comes off at the end, and it is Norman Osborn, who was the red guy. And it is the very worst of comics in the sense of, what the hell is going on?
Every single page turn is, what a twist.
But I couldn't even tell what was twists.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell what was twists and what was stuff I just didn't know.
As you know, Michael, I'm not a huge fan of tie-ins and big events. Big events ruin comics, as far as I'm concerned, Michael, because it's very hard, and you've pointed this out before in the podcast, it's very hard to get that many characters and remain true to the character if you're using them as plot devices and things like that. I read the Venom series.
Venom.
That is accompanying this.
Venom.
And it's all to do with Null, the god of the symbiotes.
I believe it's pronounced Knoll.
Knoll, probably. You're probably right on that one, Michael, because silent letters are not a thing.
No, don't exist.
KNs are never, ever silent.
Never. Ben, I'm knackered.
You're knackered. Yeah. Well, anyway, you've a real knack for derailing my train of thought. I was reading the...
I'm going to give you an ick up the ass now in a second. Oh, no, wait, I've done that wrong. I think I've got that backwards. What do we... Venom.
You're a real unt. Oh, no, wait, that's with a C. That's with
Very
a
good.
C.
Very good. I see what you've done there.
Anyway.
Do you want to talk about Venom?
I was reading the side thing because I quite enjoy the Venom comic that accompanies. It's the Donny Cates Venom comic, which I quite enjoy.
The one where Venom
I'm
got
very
wings.
lightheaded all of a sudden.
Yeah, I think there
This
was
isn't
too much
good.
hilarity there.
This isn't good. It's too much coffee. Too early in the morning. I was reading tie-in, and you see...
Hold on a second. I'm going to interrupt you there, Ben.
Yeah.
It's midday. It's not morning. It's midday. It's 12 o'clock.
It's my fault. I'm
'cause-
sorry. I was
'cause
late to the podcast.
You're living the millennial lifestyle.
Shush.
It's not early in the morning. It's midday. Go on.
I
Venom.
had to shower before going to the podcast.
Talk about Venom, you son of a...
You're the one.
Talk about Venom. I swear I'm going to leap across this table and bloody...
That'd be a very one-sided fight. It'd be like you beating a puppy.
I wouldn't.
Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I was reading the side issue where this was all leading
Is
up.
that the one where Venom gets
that.
wings and
It's
whatnot?
the one where Venom gets wings and whatnot.
Yeah.
It's quite enjoyable seeing the traditional duo of Eddie Brock and Venom come back together. You have all the wee talk and things like that. I do miss Flash Thompson as Venom. I thought it was a very good run on
Agent Venom.
Agent Venom. Thought it was very interesting. And it's interesting how Donny Cates will often throw back to that because they had a very close relationship, the symbiote and
Flash.
Flash. And it's interesting because the symbiote holds that memory very dearly.
Because it inserts a codex into everyone that
it bonds with. And it's very strange. But I was reading that, and it gets very confusing, Michael, because there's an evil Reed Richards, the Thinker, I think is what it's called. He's called the Thinker or something like that.
The Thinker.
Well, it's an evil Reed Richards.
Yeah, he's from the Ultimate Dimension.
He's got a big brain.
Yeah.
And he's working alongside Eddie Brock to try and take down Null, the god. But he's also experimenting on those. It's the Maker, and he's experimenting on the two kids because they have a codex inside them of some kind that will help them defeat Null, the god of the symbiotes. Knull. Silver Surfer bloody runs into Null, god of the symbiotes, in his run. So maybe the Silver Surfer's going to make an appearance soon.
Who bloody knows?
Michael? But all I know is they've introduced a brand new symbiote that's supposed to have been working behind the scenes all this time.
Philip.
A bloody
Philip the symbiote.
Phil the symbiote. Philbiote. It's just awful because it's retconning at its worst, Michael. Donny Cates is one of those gotcha writers. And he really is. As time goes by, it's revealed to be and then there was this guy, and he was always there.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Philip was just in the background, filling in his the time, lunch order,
which is bad making. But look, I'm going to keep reading it because I enjoy the art on that one. Draws a good symbiote. Whoever's doing the Venom comic at the minute,
Venom
draws a great symbiote.
All gooey.
Symbiotes are a real test of an artist, I think.
Gooey and gloopy.
You can do the Greg Capullo kind of sharp symbiote thing where they're all pointy and whatnot.
Blades and knives.
You can do the traditional McFarlane hyper-rendered symbiote, or you can do real flexy anatomy and do really interesting symbiotes.
Or you can do them all gooey and gross.
Whichever you prefer. Michael, whichever you prefer. But anyway, you're good to have a moan about it, Michael. It's right to have a moan about it. It's bad comic book making. Sensationalist bloody tie-in.
I was just thinking of what about that one person who picked up that issue as their first ever Spider-Man?
That's it. They're not coming back to it.
What's this?
They're not coming back to it, Michael.
What is this? This isn't for me.
What is this?
This isn't for the likes of me, they would say.
That's what they would say. And they'd be wrong, Michael, because Spider-Man is for everyone.
Is he, though?
He should be.
I mean, of all the kind of maligned comic book runs we've ever had, Spider-Man has some of the most maligned. The Clone Saga.
Reign, which would be touching on this very podcast.
The Clone Saga. Needless to say, One More Day.
Rain.
The
Clone Saga.
One More Day. Just Another Day in Paradise.
Just people that don't know what they're writing.
Is it, though? I've been having a think about this, and I might be preempting our topic, but
go on.
Is it that there are just no more bloody Spider-Man stories to tell? Is that what it is?
I don't think that's true. I think the MCU Spider-Man does a great job of a purist Spider-Man.
But that's a reboot. That's what I'm saying.
It's a reboot. I think we need more reboots in our life. Rebootals.
Just new characters.
Yeah.
Get rid of the old ones. Get rid of them. Get rid of Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
Get rid of Professor Moriarty. Get rid of...
Michael, no.
Who else can
what are the Cumberbitches going to do?
Frankenstein. Get rid of him.
Yeah, Frankenstein can go shite in a bucket.
He does. Anyway, look... Speaking of things that are just shite in a bucket,
I don't think that's a tough segue.
Yeah, it wasn't great. Ghost Rider has been cancelled, the TV series.
But that would be shite in a bucket, Michael.
We weren't even sure that was going to happen. I was pretty sure it wasn't.
I think any time you see something that's taken quite a while, it's probably not going to happen.
Yes.
Look, there was a heartfelt letter put out from the main actor of Shields
Luna.
that 3 people read because he doesn't have any hardcore Ghost Rider fans.
Look. What it basically said was, look, lads, I'm a bit disappointed, but I'm in Terminator. Would you go and see Terminator?
Go and see Terminator.
That could be bigger for me. I'll get paid more. Like every actor who's played a Terminator next to Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'm sure my career will only be on the up from here.
Yeah, definitely, because everyone remembers Christiana Loken, I think it was. There you go. There's a point in case.
Mortal Kombat Conquest and one episode of Star Trek Voyager.
I'm messing up all my lines today.
Don't worry about it.
Case in point.
Stay on script.
God damn it, Ben. God damn it.
I don't remember who played Terminator's Nemesis in the others. Robert Patrick is pretty famous, I suppose.
Jay Courtney played a Terminator hybrid, didn't he? Is that Jay Courtney?
Oh,
no, that was Sam, the other Australian guys.
Wilkinson? No, that's the Blade. I know who you mean. He was in
Worthington.
Avatar.
Sam
Worthington. Yeah.
Not Worthington of being remembered, apparently.
Very good.
Bit harsh on
Unlike
Sam
that
there.
film.
Sorry, Sam.
Yeah, so look, it doesn't matter. They're not going to do the thing. They're not going to make a... I think we're coming to the end of this phase of Marvel TV anyway.
Oh, thank God.
The Runaways, the Cloak and Dagger, the bloody Netflix shows. So much potential, so much not achieved.
Fulfilled.
So Disney Plus looks like it's heading in the direction of what we always wanted that to be.
I think they're just going to cull a lot of the sloppy rights that they've kind of let out into the world. They're going to pull the reins tight and just kind of clean up shop.
It's good luck that they never made that bloody Inhumans thing, wasn't it? Because that could have ended
Thank God
badly.
they never did that.
Never made it.
Never even tried to make it. Didn't do something gimmicky like a special release in cinemas.
IMAX.
Something that would fool lesser podcasters into going to see with
Spending
someone...
€47.
€47 to go see with someone who wasn't a huge comic fan and probably won't ever be a huge comic fan after that. A colleague that we might work with that would have been put off superhero events.
If they did make an Inhumans TV series and it was terrible and people did go to see it, it would be like picking up that first Spider-Man comic as your first ever comic.
It's not a great introduction.
What is this? I don't like this. I don't want it.
Why did people do this?
Yeah, get rid of it.
It'd be awful if podcasters did that and you went to their YouTube channel and looked through the old things and found something covering that exact topic. That'd be weird, wouldn't it?
Ben, you remember our famous segment, No One Likes Inhumans? That was a good segment.
That was a great segment.
Speaking of things that no one likes, Ben, the new movie The Joker is coming out.
That's not true. That's a bad segue.
I know.
It's out, Michael. It's out.
It's what?
It's out. It came out on Friday.
It's out in cinemas.
It's out in cinemas.
Is
Came
it?
out on Friday. Yeah.
Why haven't we seen it?
All the reviews are going on Wednesday, Michael.
Are we?
Wednesday Cinema Club.
Oh, bloody hell. We probably should have... Is it out? I thought it was out October 4th.
Came out Friday. For previews on Friday. You know it comes out the weekend before for previews.
I've been very busy.
You have been very busy, Michael. Michael has been very busy. He's very
busy.
stressed.
I'm very busy. I'm not stressed.
This
I'm
is
just
the
busy.
most stressed I've seen Michael in months. Michael has a very subtle stress response where he's just minorly more energetic than he usually is.
Moving swiftly along. I thought Red was the best album, to be honest, because it had that kind of poppy upbeatness that was lacking, I thought, from Reputation.
I think she's a girl.
Come on now.
Anyway, yes. Michael, this is a rather somber topic for the podcast to be covering.
We'll talk about the poster first.
Oh, yeah. So I was wandering through town, as I often do, Michael.
Sorry, I'm doing mouth sounds.
Because I work in... This is the ASMR Swiftcast with Michael and Benjamin. Talking about Taylor Swift.
Bad blood. Talk about Joker. It's a good video. Where all the supermodels are in the training centre.
Cat suits.
I don't think there were a lot of cat suits.
There were a lot of cat suits.
Oh, good, okay, we better go back and watch it.
Anyway, moving on from there. I was walking through town, as I often do, Michael, because our workplace is in the town of Dublin.
Yes.
And they have the bloody posters up. Very artistic posters, Michael. It's too late now to see them on our Instagram story, but I was so taken aback by these quite frankly, striking works of art that I posted them on social media, Michael. I was very impressed with them.
Yeah.
Very nice. Painted pictures of the Joker.
Yeah.
In various forms. Very unnerving. One of the responses we got was creepy AF.
And that was about you, though, I think.
Oh.
That was about your posting habits.
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry about that, Ben. But look, it's good because it's Joaquin Phoenix's face.
Oh.
And he has a sad. And then if you look at it upside down, it's Joker's face, but he has a happy.
Oh.
Yeah. You got all creepy? You know, malfunctioned.
Now I'm sad creepy.
Any other news about the Joker, though, Ben?
But the Joker is I suppose you would call him an
cultural icon.
Incel god.
God of incels.
God of incels. Like Null. God of symbiotes.
Yeah.
Knoll.
Yeah.
God of symbiotes. And unfortunately, there was a rather tragic event in Colorado in 2012, Michael, where at one of the premieres of The Dark Knight Rises, someone dressed up as the Joker and had one of those events that America is really more famous for than anything else these days, a mass shooting.
Oh, Jesus
It
Christ.
was awful. And a couple of people died, and it was very sad. And unfortunately, one of the things that a lot of security services have been very nervous about is this new movie becoming a new kind of wave of lauding the Joker as an example of what people should be in the incel community. Most cinemas have been very strict on how they're doing this. A lot of cinemas are on high alert in the United States, asking people not to go to see the film alone. Asking people, I'm not kidding, asking people not to carry any big bags with them to screenings of the show, things like that.
Wow.
Yeah, they're really on high alert for this thing. And I thought it was just a little bit of an American over-eagerness, overzealous.
A bit of a moral panic.
A little bit of a moral panic. But
go on.
The US military 3 days ago has
well
issued
known for their restraint.
they don't usually involve themselves in civilian matters like cinema screenings, Michael.
Right, go on.
Issued an in-house memo to all departments, all law enforcement, all things, to be on the lookout.
Wait a minute. I'm going to interrupt you there. The US military can issue statements to law enforcement
In matters of national security, yes, they can.
Can they?
Yes.
Go on then.
And so they have released a memo
Go on then.
saying that they have picked up a great deal of chatter that one cinema is to be targeted by an incel organization for a replication of the mass shooting in Colorado. Now, look, it might not happen, but it's interesting that incels, bloody incels, of which I am a card-carrying member, and it's just because I can't afford tickets to go all that way to South America.
Don't imply that you might be a mass shooter on a podcast, Ben. Don't do that.
But anyway, this event has garnered enough difficulty that we joke about on the podcast that incels are going to go crazy for the New Yorker, but apparently they might.
They might actually go
go crazy. The memo is here on my phone, Michael.
Go on.
Because I'm that interested in it.
They sent it directly to you.
They sent it directly to me. Look, piss off, Ben. Don't be doing that. Posts on social media have made references to involuntary celibate incel extremists replicating the 2012 theater shooting in Aurora, Colorado at screenings of the Joker movie in nationwide theaters. This presents a potential risk to DoD personnel and family members, though there are no known specific credible threats to the opening of the Joker on the 4th of October.
Okay.
Incels are individuals who express frustration. I enjoy. I'm just going to read this
Keep
because
reading.
the US military's definition of incels are great. Incels are individuals who express frustration from perceived disadvantages to starting intimate relationships. Incel extremists idolize violent individuals like the Aurora movie theater shooter. They also idolize the Joker character and the violent clown from the Batman series, admiring his depiction as a man who pretends to be happy but eventually fights back against his bullies.
Whoa.
So what they have to do is, when entering theaters, identify 2 escape routes, remain aware of your surroundings, and remember the phrase run, hide, fight. Run if you can. If you're stuck, hide. Also referred to as sheltering in place. And stay quiet. If the shooter finds you, fight with whatever you can. Dear God.
I love that they have to say sheltering in place so that no one's pride is hurt because they hid.
Yeah, it's not cowardly.
Didn't hide. No, sir, I am a US soldier. I sheltered in place until an opportunity presented to run.
But one of an interesting counterpoints to this is the black community is having black-only screenings of the Joker.
America, get your shit together.
Because Zazie Beetz is in the film.
Zazie Beetz.
Who is a fantastic actress in her own right. And she plays...
His love interest?
I don't know. I haven't seen the film, and there's not a lot coming from the trailer.
You didn't tell me it was on.
I'm looking forward to seeing it. We couldn't see it on Friday, Michael. I work on Friday nights. We couldn't have gone, shush. I actually work. I get paid on Friday nights.
I know you do. Got to get paid, son.
Fucking son of a bitch. Anyway, I wish I was half the womanizer you think.
Ben, look, be quiet for a second. America, get your shit together. Sort it out. Something we forgot to talk about in the notes. How excited are you about this CW Crisis on Infinite Earths thing?
Did you see the Brandon Routh
image? Ruth in the...
As bloody one of our favourite DC comics, Kingdom Come Superman.
I know, it looks pretty cool.
Looks fucking great.
It looks really good. Not quite as good as a friend of the podcast, Michael Bynes. Not quite as accurate.
Michael Barnes has the definitive Kingdom Come Superman look going on. Check out the Instagram there to see a picture, or check out our YouTube channel to see an interview that Michael did with Michael Barnes.
I only interview people called Michael now.
It's bloody great. He's great. But Brandon Routh does pretty good. Those promo shots got me bloody excited.
They've got Tom Welling on board.
Tom Welling is back on board. So is Erica Durance, who played Lois Lane in Smallville, which was formative for the first 3 seasons and then kind of lost the rails.
Well, it was the only thing we had as superhero fans on TV for a long time.
That was where all the spandex superheroes came from.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the first people to put a somewhat of a Justice League on screen. It was it's pretty exciting. I don't know why. I'm definitely going to watch it.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to watch it. It's going to be great.
Yeah.
It looks good, doesn't it?
No.
Come on. Brandon Routh. It's good to see Brandon Routh back. He was, if in nothing but look, he was a great Superman. He looked the part of Superman.
Well, he looked the part of Christopher Reeve.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's what you need. Christopher Reeve was a great fucking Superman.
He was, although, comparatively, by modern standards, minuscule.
Yeah, compared to what we put on screen these days.
Yeah, you wouldn't put someone of his build in a Superman
Cavill was a great Superman in terms of look. Just unfortunately, CGI mustache face is just not a good look for anyone.
CGI mustache face, I mean, they really didn't know what to do with him, did they? I don't think Zack Snyder understood Superman.
I don't think many people understand Superman. Frank Miller is currently doing his run on Superman Year One. They keep giving Frank Miller projects. I don't know why. And Superman is a weird alien that doesn't understand people.
Oh yeah, good. That's a good twist.
Is it?
No.
It's not at all. It's a complete betrayal of the character. But sure, look. Sure, listen. Sure, look.
They're going to have a gang of Supermen running around.
Big gas.
I hope they get the guy who played Green Arrow on Smallville back. That would be pretty
and watch
cool.
Stephen Amell kick the living shit out of him. Because Stephen Amell is just Batman with a bow and arrow.
With a bow and arrow Batman.
We're still not going to see Batman. Oh, speaking of the CW verse, bloody Amber, what's her name? Amber Rose? Ruby Rose, it's hard to keep up, has been hospitalised from a stunt on Batwoman.
I think a while ago. I think she's fine now.
No, she's had near surgery again. She's after having another...
No, I know it's on Instagram. She had 2 herniated discs.
Oh, maybe it was a while ago.
I think it was a while ago, and she's only releasing it now that she knows she's fine.
Oh, okay.
I think. I'm not sure.
Good for her.
I'm not sure.
Good for her.
Bloody actors.
Do any of us care about Batwoman still?
But I don't even know if it's out, Ben. Is it out?
I don't think so. Alfred, on the other hand, is wrapping up.
Pennyworth.
It's on to its finale. Pennyworth is on to its finale. We still haven't watched it.
Completely managed to avoid that. Speaking of things we managed to avoid, Ben, I think it's about bloody time we got to the topic for this week.
We did pretty well on avoiding the topic. 25 minutes in. So, because Michael was having an old moan about Spooderman, we decided to take a look at unintended consequences of superpowers, Michael. For many a young man in Ireland, Mallrats was kind of the pinnacle of geek entertainment in the mid-90s. Because it was everything we don't talk about as Irish nerds. Yeah. And we decided to just rip that off and have an old conversation about unintended superhero consequences. One of the things that has made Superman so maligned is that occasionally they'll do a what if with Spider-Man, just spoil the character. One of probably the most maligned storylines I think that I've ever come across in the Spider-Man universe was 2006's Reign.
The Clone Saga?
No.
2006's
Reign.
One More Day?
No.
The Clone Saga?
No.
The Clone Wars?
Reign. It came out in 2006 and it was written by Carrie Andrews.
Never heard of that person.
And you'll never hear of him again because he did a shite job.
What's Reign about?
Reign is about Spider-Man 30 years in the future. And he's an old man.
Okay, old man Spider-Man.
Old man Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. And he's a lonely florist. Spider-Man became a florist.
Why did he become a florist?
Fuck knows. I've no idea.
What's it called again?
No, Reign. And it's R-E-I-G-N.
Storm.
R-E-I-G-N.
Logan.
Logan. And Spider-Man is gone. And it's been replaced by kind of militaristic? Yeah. Is that a word?
Yeah.
Militaristic police force called Reign.
Oh, okay. Are you talking about Dark Reign? About Norman Osborn?
No, that came later.
Okay.
It's a whole different thing.
All right, sorry, go on.
But anyway, Spider-Man kind of picks up the mantle again as he goes through, and he's very sad and lonely, and we're wondering where Mary Jane is. We just don't know where she is.
Where's she at?
Turns out she's dead.
She's always dead, isn't she?
Dead. She died of cancer. No. Spider-Man's carrying a big old dark secret around.
Right.
And it turns out, Michael, that when Spider-Man was irradiated by a spider, it actually irradiated every single part of his body, including his bodily fluids.
Oh.
So if we were to get a blood transfer from Spider-Man, that's no good.
Blood transfusion.
I call it blood transfer. Yeah. That's no good because he's irradiated. That'd be like going and licking the power plant at Chernobyl. Not a good idea.
No, too many Romkins.
Sure. And if you got that, you'd be irradiated. But it turns out, if you had sex with Spider-Man, Michael, that'd be no good either. Because if you tried to get pregnant with Spider-Man, you'd be irradiated by his semen.
Oh, no.
And that's exactly what happened to Mary Jane. She died of exposure to Spider-Man semen.
Oh, radioactive semen.
Which is a fucking weird consequence.
That is.
To something. And people were kind of like...
Was it only the semen?
I'm assuming it was saliva and other things, but he really focuses on the semen.
Radioactive semen.
It is also
Chernobyl
the first time that we ever saw Spider-Man's genitalia.
Oh, really?
Because in one panel of the comic, he sits on the edge of the bed as a 70-year-old Spider-Man.
Yeah.
He's got his junk out.
Oh.
The issue was recalled rapidly. So not unlike the Batchlong controversy that we had a couple of months ago in Batman Damned.
So we've now seen the penis of both Batman and Spider-Man.
Yes, in weird what-if scenarios.
That's odd.
Our comic book's only brave enough to show a schlong if it's in a what-if scenario.
So how many people did he bloody kill?
Well, we only know of Mary Jane in this,
Right.
but we assume over his years as an Avenger,
Yeah.
he probably would have given an old blood transfusion here and there.
Well, yeah, maybe, but I mean, you don't want to go wrestling around with blood transfusions. Look what happened to Jennifer Walters,
Yeah, she turned into the bloody Hulk.
the She-Hulk.
Turned into She-Hulk.
Yeah. So I don't know if you want to. I don't know if you have powers which are genetic or magical or somehow like that, and you end up transfusing the blood. That's not really an unintended consequence. That's just carelessness.
Careless science.
Yeah.
Mad science.
What are you doing? Do a test. Do a trial.
We always have those arcs where it's like, get me the blood of that guy. I need to analyze it and figure out its secrets. We always have those.
That was the story of Spider-Man 3.
Yeah,
Two,
he wants
one?
it. He wants it.
Give me the blood of Spider-Man.
He wants an vial of the blood. I think Norman
One.
Osborn
I think
wants
it was
it
one,
to
wasn't
figure
it?
out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he needs to figure out.
Why Spider-Man?
Think of it, Peter. We could be great together. That kind of thing.
Is
That was an attempt at Willem Dafoe. I think I got it in the first half and then just let it go at the end. But, it was pretty good.
What can you do? Yeah, but
Willem Dafoe was great as Green Goblin, wasn't he?
he is. Yeah,
He's fucking class.
if I was doing a Green Goblin, I'd bring him back. To be honest,
That's a great call.
I'd bring him back
I'd have him back in the weird suit.
in a goblin suit, like not a Power Rangers villain suit.
He was
an actual goblin suit.
bloody terrifying.
Yeah.
Oh no, do full comic book.
Yeah. Just do it. Just go with it
Dude,
at this stage.
If we have J. Jonah Jameson in Spider-Man 3, I don't see why we couldn't have Norman Osborn back. Get him on board.
Get him on board. Yeah.
Get him on board.
Look, Ben, what you're talking about there. When is that from? 1996? From the comic book Spider-Man Reign?
No, 2006. 2006.
Ben, that story was done 2 decades previous.
In?
Watchmen.
Yes, the unintended consequences of Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah.
But it wasn't an unintended consequence of Dr. Manhattan, though.
Well, there was a bit more cleverness to it,
It was
wasn't
a
it?
snaky Ozymandias. Ozymandias. Shit. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd just like to take this moment to resign from the Michael and Benjamin's podcast because
What's wrong with you?
I can smell toast.
It's called the podcast is called Moving Swiftly Along. It's been called Moving Swiftly Along for quite a while.
All along. You've been doing this podcast for 50 years.
And I'm a ghost.
Tiny room is filled with dust.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that got us thinking, Michael,
Yeah.
about other unintended consequences that have come from superheroes. We've kind of had hints of this throughout the years, Michael, from various characters. Some of them are hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are awkward.
Yeah.
And some of them you don't really want your parents in the room when they utter that sentence in the comic or in the movie. You brought up Mr. Fantastic.
Well, Mr. Fantastic is famously, you have to assume he has a stretchy penis.
I was just about to do it. This may be not suitable for work for anyone that might listen to this with younger listeners.
He's presumably got a big stretchy penis, doesn't he?
Well, that joke is made in that terrible joke is made in Fantastic Four 2 when him and Sue are having a bit of trouble.
Go on.
And he goes to a nightclub and gets drunk.
Yeah.
And Ewan Griffith, who played Mr. Fantastic,
And
not a bad one.
He's from Wales.
He's from Wales. It's Ewan Griffith from Wales.
He's from Wales. I don't even know you.
I have a big stretchy penis. Don't know what to do with it though. He is in a nightclub, and he has a young lady come up to him and goes, "Does everything stretch?" And he's like, "Oh yes,
oh yes."
And it says, "Whoa!"
It sneaks out the bottom of his trouser leg. That'd be amazing. He just pops up beside him.
I think we should switch to a bloody Moving Swiftly Along podcast.
Yeah, that'd be good though.
That'd be a great name for this podcast if it wasn't a Taylor Swift podcast. Moving Swiftly Along.
Moving Swiftly Along.
Man, do you ever think, Michael, we could have done a much better job in naming this podcast about 100 episodes?
The whole bloody list of them. The whole bloody list of them.
Michael and Benjamin's podcast just really isn't, it doesn't really showcase our creativity.
You can't even say it, for one thing. I think you just said Michael and Benjamin's cockcast there. Because you were thinking about the stretchy slong slipping out the bottom of the trouser leg. But the whole Fantastic Four, Ben.
Michael, what is wrong with this podcast?
I don't know what's gone wrong. It's a weird one. The whole Fantastic Four, I mean, the Thing's penis is obviously made of rocks as well. Wait, Ben, how does the Thing work? Is he a rocky exterior with fleshy inside, or is he rocks? Is he just animated rocks?
He's a rocky terrier with fleshy insides.
Does he have fleshy insides?
And that's what's so awkward about that character. If you punch the Thing hard enough, the rock falls off.
Right. And what's under there?
Flesh.
Ugh.
It's awful.
Is it?
It's awful. And one of the things you can look up, Michael, is a compilation of artists who have attempted to cover that over the years.
Right.
Where he gets such a beating, his rock hide falls off. It makes no sense. as a character.
Well, none of them make sense, Ben, realistically.
No, I know, but in terms of like a cool character, why would you make him flesh underneath?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why not just have him be rocks?
I assumed he was all rocks, like Korg.
I assumed he was cracked on the surface and solid rock underneath.
Oh, but then how would he move?
Look, it's comic books, Michael.
Yeah.
How does he bear living as a rocky exterior?
Well, he barely does.
Hide creature.
That's his great crux
His
to bear.
his great crux to bear. Cross to bear. What is wrong with this podcast? Other times, Michael.
Yes.
There are other unusual consequences. I always remember, Michael, the conclusion to Justice League, the Bruce Timm series.
Go on.
Where he faces off against Darkseid.
Yes.
And you see Superman unleash his full potential.
Yeah.
In some wonderful voice acting. From the voice actor whose name I cannot recall. But he says, I live in a world of paper.
Mm-hmm.
And now I can finally let loose.
Does he say paper or cardboard?
It could be either. I'm not sure. But it's an interesting thing. And that always made me think, how difficult is it for Superman to exist alongside the rest of us?
Very bad.
It must be awkward. I always remember that. They covered that a little bit in the Christopher Reeve Superman films, where he always has to pretend to be hurt when something happens. He crushes his finger in a can opener, I think, and a car hits him at one point, and it just folds around him. But he has to be constantly aware to kind of behave as if he's a regular human being. And we see it again in Man of Steel, in the first Superman movie, where he can't really get into a bar fight.
Yeah.
Because if he does...
Even if someone just hits them full force, they're going to get hurt.
So he has to roll with punches all the time, be careful. Imagine sleeping with Superman.
I bet I have many times. What about the classic Superman's baby?
Welcome back to Steal Me Away, the Man of Steel podcast, where we make up.
How many times has Superman had a baby? Because currently in the CW series, Lois Lane is pregnant.
What?
Yeah, and they've
What?
Superman has Taylor Cushion has impregnated Lois Lane in the CW series, and they've gone off to Kandahar.
Kandahar, the region in...
No, not Kandahar. The region in Afghanistan? Is that where Kandahar is? Kandahar, the bottle city of Krypton. Where there's...
Kandak, isn't it?
No, it's...
Is it Kandahar?
I'm pretty sure it's Kandahar.
Kandor. Yeah.
Andor.
That's the thing you put in your coffee when you don't want to use sugar,
no,
isn't
that's
it?
Canderel, isn't it? What are we talking about?
If you want to unsubscribe from the Michaelandbenjaminspodcast.
This is the episode to do it. And they go off to the city. I don't know.
The bottle city of Kandor
is
the city. Okay, that's a good way to remove Superman from your...
Yeah, it's pretty good from your
continuity,
show
isn't
and
it?
let Supergirl shine a bit. But also, it brings on the whole thing of when does the Kryptonianness kick in? Is one kick of that baby going to kick its way out?
Well, that's been covered in other issues in slightly odd ways, Michael.
Hit us up, Ben.
Your dearly beloved Invincible from Image Comics. I say that sarcastically, but it is actually a great series and should be dearly beloved.
It is bloody dearly beloved.
The race there is the Viltrumites. Viltrumites?
No, Viltrumites. You were right the first time.
And they are a mustached-bearing... That's oddly prophetic of Justice League.
Go on.
Mustaches.
Yeah, actually it is.
Oddly prophetic of that. But in this, the alien race are basically a fascist Kryptonian stand-in.
Yeah, the difference being, of course, that unlike the Kryptonians, their powers do work on their home planet.
Yeah, exactly. Everything, they're buff all the time.
Which is something about Kryptonians that didn't make any sense, really. Let's be honest.
Yeah. This red sun...
Bullshit,
yellow sun bullshit can go take a long walk offshore pier, Michael.
I mean, they could have just moved to a different planet.
But
they have the technology.
In the Viltrumite world,
yeah,
the baby is... The Viltrumite gene is recessive in the beginning and then kind of becomes a more dominant gene as it goes on.
Basically, the Viltrumites are a writer's way of making more superheroes as and when you need them.
Well, that's... One clever trick that Robert Kirkman comes up with there is that he combines the Viltrumite DNA with a fast-growing species. There's an insectoid species that has a much shorter lifespan. And the way that he does this is when the Viltrumite, when they are younger, the gene is recessive. So they grow at the speed they would normally grow at. But the more they grow, the more dominant the Viltrumite gene becomes. And it slows down their aging process because that's how Viltrumite works. They're incredibly long-lived, Michael. They can live for centuries, if not millennia. So
basically a Viltrumite can do a sex.
Can do a sex.
They can do a sex on any species.
That's definitely the terminology we look at.
Yeah. They can do a sex on any species.
Yes.
And then they will produce a baby that looks half Viltrumite, half that species.
Won't grow a mustache till later.
Yes, but the baby will look half and half.
Yes.
So if they had one with an insect species that were purple, it would be a kind of insecty purple human baby thing. But then they grow like a normal child from the
Viltrumite point of view.
from the alien race point
Oh
of view.
yeah. They become more humanoid.
They grow like the child of the host
initial
race.
species.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So Mark Grayson aged like a human.
Yeah.
He was a normal human until he was about 16, and then he became a Viltrumite. And his brother, his half brother, Oliver, was a little weird purple baby who grew super fast
and stayed purple.
I don't think he ended up purple though, did he? Didn't he turn?
No, he
turn
pretty much purple the whole way through.
Didn't he turn Viltrumite at the end? I think he turned full Viltrumite at the end.
Okay,
I thought
maybe he did.
I can't remember to be
honest.
honest.
That was a weird
I thought he did, because the Viltrumite recessive, basically a half Viltrumite when they're an adult is a Viltrumite.
Yeah, and interestingly, like one of the really interesting side consequences, I suppose, of being such a strong species, and one that's tackled really well in that series, is the masculine might makes right kind of ideology that permeates the entire society.
Even the women
are given equal footing. If you're stronger than a man, then you have a higher position in thing. That culminates in a rather awkward arc, though, where Mark Grayson is raped by one of the Viltrumite women.
Yeah, because he wants to have closer to a purebred Viltrumite baby.
He's stronger than most Viltrumites, and that makes her very attracted to him. And does she beat him unconscious and then
not quite unconscious?
She straddles him or something and holds him down.
She does beat him up though, because she's an adult and he's 16.
There's a bizarre arc where he has to come face to face with his rapist's child.
Yeah,
it's bizarre.
Yeah.
In terms of unintended consequences, I mean, that's one of the most fascinating ones in terms of ideology and unintended consequences of your ideology. She decides that he will give her a child that will be one of the strongest Viltrumites. She watches. That's seeded like early in the issues as well. Like she takes a keen interest in Mark Grayson from their first encounter, where she says, "You hit harder than my second husband."
Hey.
That's impressive, or something like that. Like the Viltrumite society is all about taking your punches, and when they come into contact with humans, they get all soft and gooey and mushy.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing.
Takes the bloody edge off.
It's a fucking great series.
It is,
isn't it?
but the whole Viltrumite baby, there's a whole kind of creepy cuckoo thing going on as well.
Yeah, they use other species too, because the Viltrumites have been wiped out by a virus. What's it called?
I don't know, the Viltrumite wiping out virus?
Yeah, that's it. They're wiped out by that, and so they actually use other planets as, I suppose,
breeding grounds?
Cuckoo's nests, breeding grounds and cuckoo's nests.
Yeah, gross.
Again, unintended consequences, guys. Jesus.
Yeah, a bit gross.
Yeah, don't
what
dissect
happens,
ideologies.
Ben, speaking of what happens when two mutants have a baby?
We are the mutant race. It depends. Yeah,
doesn't it? I mean,
weird.
it's a bit weird, isn't it?
Mutants are so poorly defined, though. They're basically magic on occasion. Do you know what I mean? Reality warping can't be a genetic gift at any point. That doesn't make any sense. But we got a couple in there that are, oh, well, you're a mutant and you can do this and you can do that. I suppose the genetics of mutants are probably very poorly laid out. Do you have recessive genes? Do you have recessive mutant genes?
It's a bit odd, isn't it?
Is it a dominant gene? Is it not?
Gene!
What is it?
A dominant gene, like when she was in the fetish wear.
Yeah, when bloody... Who's the famous guy?
Claremont.
Yeah, Chris Claremont got his hands on them. Gene! Oh.
Sometimes, though, when mutants do a baby... They do a sex. And they...
Again, definitely the right term.
They have a baby, or their partner has a baby, or their victim, unfortunately, quite often has a baby. Oh, God. But sometimes they get the same superpower.
Yeah, it's just passed on. It's
just
like, well, I'm telepathic because my dad was telepathic.
Yeah, or...
Doesn't make sense.
I mean, so...
Because it's a mutation, Michael. It's not supposed to be predictable.
Well, no, mutations are passed along genetically.
Oh, are they?
Well, real mutations are passed along genetically. That's the whole point, Benjamin.
Well, you know, Michael, I have heterochromia. Which is a form of mutation.
It's a very groovy mutation.
It's a very groovy mutation.
Is that genetic? Does that come from one of your parents have it?
Nope, neither of my parents and nobody else in my family has it.
Not that the postman has it. That's all I'm saying.
Look, Tom's a nice guy. He used to come in and chat with me sometimes.
Yeah. I go,
he had that really like lost look in his eye as if I somehow belonged to him genetically. That's actually a very poor thing. I'm only kidding.
Yeah.
I know you're my dad's correct.
Sometimes, Ben, like, for example, Sean Cassidy's daughter, Teresa Cassidy.
Siren.
She's called Banshee now, I think.
Oh, for fuck's
They've
sake.
rebranded her, which
just
makes sense because
can't
she's a
keep
bloody,
up. She's a bloody lady.
She's
Makes
a bloody
much
lady.
more
It makes
sense.
more sense. But she got his powers almost exactly. Maybe a bit higher,
A bit stronger.
bit stronger.
They very often do a stronger.
Yeah.
So that you can have Sean Cassidy go, "Begorra, my daughter's stronger than I am.
She's got more powers than I could have ever dreamt of having at all.
I could have ever imagined."
I could have. Look at
Sure, it's better that she takes the mantle. She's better suited to it anyway.
But then other times you have I know
Very
that
strong waves
yeah.
there.
Well, you were bloody shouting about Begorra and Begosh.
That's what they do in the comic.
Sometimes a bloody Magneto. Sometimes Magneto has a daughter and it's a Polaris.
A Polaris.
She
A
has
secret
weaker
daughter?
powers.
A secret daughter.
Yeah, but that was a retcon, wasn't it?
You can't match me, girl. And then he'll metal her.
Charles, we've got to make rid of these humans.
Charles, it's time to put aside these foolish differences and wipe them out.
Yeah, or you could just do the bloody Fassbender one and go, I'll tell you what, lads, we'll get rid of all these humans and just have all the mutants.
Beautiful.
Grant.
The
Yeah,
indignity.
But sometimes, then he has other children and they don't have any magnet powers. What's going on? What do you
Those
get?
are the children he doesn't look at. Well, it's implied in certain comics that Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are actually the product of an affair.
Yeah, but look, Ben.
And other times it's implied that he has children with mortal women, like in X-Men Days of Future Past, where Quicksilver is a bloody one-night stand baby.
But look, the backstory of Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch aren't really worth getting into because they have changed so many times because of legal wrangles.
Wrestling.
Yeah,
Legal
so
wrestling.
like Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. But I suppose at least the same point of if your parents are both mutants, what powers do you bloody get? It doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make any sense, Michael.
And then there are mutants. Like
What do you mean mutant
two
mutants?
parents have a baby and the baby has powers nothing to do with either of them.
It's a mutation.
Like
Just
Franklin
happens
Richards.
to have the X gene.
Did Franklin Richards just happen to have the X gene, or did he become the most powerful creature in existence?
Well, the first
because his dad has a stretchy willy.
his first two parents are cosmic ray kids. They're not
His first two parents.
His first two parents. You got a second set. It's a whole thing. His parents. I was about to say his first two parents again. His parents have cosmic ray abilities, and then all of a sudden he's a bloody mutant.
He's a mutant, but not only a mutant, he's the most powerful mutant who's ever existed.
Which doesn't make any sense.
Why? Because his dad has a stretchy willy and his man can turn invisible.
I call bollocks.
What's going on?
Ash, look, listen. Mutants are weird, Michael. Mutants are weird.
Mutants are bloody weird, Ben.
Plus, it depends on whether or not the bloody Marvel Universe wants to keep them in it or not.
Yeah.
Where
Ben,
the rights lie.
In the world of Harry Potter, what happens when wizards have children?
But that's probably the darkest side of all Harry Potterdom, is the race politics.
Well, the whole Nazis thing as well.
It's a very thinly veiled Nazi allegory, fair enough. But you have mudbloods, you have squibs,
Yeah.
you have half-bloods,
Yeah.
you have pure... They don't call them pure bloods.
They just call them wizards.
They just call them wizards.
Mm.
And there's a whole race politics thing to that. For example, Hermione Granger,
Yeah.
fan favourite Hermione Granger,
Yeah.
has two more Muggle
It's
parents.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Wingardium Leviosa.
Not Leviosa.
She has two
Ben,
Muggle parents.
what's a bloody muggle? I don't know.
A Muggle is a non-magic individual,
Right.
which again is probably racism.
A little bit, yeah.
Wizards call them Muggles. They're
Yeah.
humans,
And they live,
humans.
they separate them off into another world.
Yeah, they keep them hidden because Muggles
Different
are too
privileges.
stupid.
Yeah.
Very often pointed out that Muggles are too stupid to understand magic,
So,
which is very racist.
let's say if two muggles, Ben,
Yeah,
me and noted singer-songwriter Taylor Swift, had a child.
Yeah.
And that child was born into the wizarding world. Is that what happened with Hermione Granger?
they have to tell the parents then that their daughter's a bloody wizard.
How did they find out?
I'm assuming an owl delivers a letter.
A bloody owl.
Just comes in, he's like, whoo,
A very excited owl.
whoo, are the parents of this young lady. And then they tell them, but she removes their memory.
Who does?
Hermione Granger in book 6 or 7.
She removes her
She
parents'
removes
memory
her parent to keep them safe.
of her.
Of her. She erases every trace of herself from their lives.
Really?
Very strange.
Very noble.
Because she doesn't want them to worry about her while she's off running away from Voldemort.
If every teenager could do that, they would.
I would.
Yeah.
And then the race politics becomes even more complicated because it turns out that Voldemort is half-blood. And that's a really strange thing because he's the purest of all muggles, or of all wizards. And it turns out that he actually had a mortal father.
But that's a Hitler allegory, isn't it? Because Hitler wasn't as Aryan.
First of all, he was Austrian.
Yeah.
And not actually part of the great German race that he claimed to be on about. He creates a fictional history. But he picks all that up from... Who's the baddie? Who's Johnny Depp play? Grindelwald.
Grindelwald. Sorry, Amber Heard.
It turns out, for fuck's sake, it's hard to keep up with scandals, isn't it? And Grindelwald is a much more effective Hitler allegory, I think, than Voldemort ever was. We definitely see that in the second movie. I think Johnny Depp was my favourite thing about the second the second Fantastic Beasts movie. The Fantastic Beasts movie definitely leans way more into the political allegory and the race allegory that we saw in Harry Potter. In Harry Potter, it's just like, oh, Muggles are so silly and so thick.
Yeah.
But in this one, it's like, Muggles are bloody dangerous.
They're the worst.
Need
Look
to
at
be
the bombs.
out.
Look, people love the world of Harry Potter.
They do.
They bloody love the wizarding world, Ben.
Yeah.
And
They shouldn't, though.
Well,
It's weird.
But the wizarding world only... We talked about this a couple of weeks ago. The wizarding world only works if you focus on a very small part of it, like a wizarding school.
That's why things like Pottermore, J.K. Rowling's bloody little fanfic project that she has on the side, is ruining it very slowly.
Is everyone secretly something else?
Yeah, she keeps adding to it. It's like, but it turns out, what a twist. And everyone's like, look, J.K. Rowling, you have more money than the Vatican. Chill the fuck out.
I don't think she does.
I think she does.
Does she?
I think she does.
Does she
Got
sell
more
more
money than the Queen.
of
England. She's got more money than the Queen of England.
I don't think the Queen of England is terribly wealthy.
Probably not anymore, no.
No, I don't think she's mad wealthy.
God rest the empire, eh?
Oh. Do you want to wrap it up?
Ladies and gentlemen, what are some of the unintended consequences? What are the things that keep you up at night when you think about superhero powers and their unintended consequences? Did we get it right? Is that how you do a sex? Are we correct? Let us know down below if that's how it works.
Could Superman do a sex with Wonder Woman if he wanted?
And move mountains. That's occasionally implied in certain comic books. Really makes more sense when you think
the Bloody Boys had a good example.
The Bloody Boys,
comic
bloody irradiated babies.
Yeah.
We didn't get onto that, but we ran out of time, Michael, as we often do on this podcast. What do you think? What did you think? Will you be going to see the Joker? Will you be packing heat to defend yourself when you go to see the Joker? Don't do that, guys. Do you think we'll be putting a watch list for saying packing heat and Joker in the same podcast?
I'll be bringing Knuckles and Chuckles.
Knuckles and Juggles just to wipe out any. There's no bloody sheltering in place for you, Michael.
Oh no, I'd run.
I'd be gone.
Self-preservation.
I'd be gone. Good lady friend over the shoulder and out the door.
Tell them about our other podcast, man.
This week, if you haven't had enough Michael and Benjamin for one session, you can listen to our second podcast, Collecting Issues. We'll be out this Wednesday, where we'll be taking a look at Andrew MacLean's Headlopper, which is a barbarian epic in a chunky volume. Also, we are on seomrabug.com, seomrabag.com.
Means tiny room in Irish.
Means tiny room in Irish. You can get in touch with us on Instagram. We are on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, give us now a like and subscribe. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, please give us a review.
Give us now a review.
It's very good for us. And if you listen to us on Spotify, give us now a follow.
Can you follow us on Spotify?
You can follow us on Spotify, so you never miss an episode.
Follow us on Spotify.
Take a look. As always, we're looking for new topics, new ideas. So send them in to us. If there's anything you'd like to see covered in a pop culture context, give us a shout. That's it from us this week, ladies and gentlemen. Bye-bye.
Bye. You don't press stop, I press stop.
Sorry.